My name is Sammy and welcome back to my Stream Theory playthrough of Assassin's Creed 4. Back after 2
Well done,
weeks
friend. Very
of...
well done. Apologies for my
wouldn't let this
temper
guy talk.
there. You are with the good guys, I promise. We'll keep you safe. Trust me. Go on back to work. We'll be in touch.
Alright, so back to my Stream Theory playthrough of Assassin's Creed 4, where I will play the game live while also providing analysis, commentary on the game as I go. I'm hoping, since it started me here, I'm not sure, get back into the rhythm of things. I'm not quite sure, what I was doing, but hoping everything was saved properly. I have to do all this stuff again. Did this stuff here, yeah, okay, that's good. So, looks like everything was saved properly and I just stopped here. I don't think I got inside the Animus, for whatever reason. Probably should have done that before I stopped playing. In any case, let's head back there, discuss what's going on, cutscene going on, so let that play.
I've an awful feeling about this. You'll be hurt out there. I couldn't handle that.
I'll be careful, I promise. And when I'm flush with coin and set up, I'll send for you. I will.
Caroline, come away! Don't exert yourself!
I can't promise I'll come, Edward. If you leave on this fool's errand, I cannot promise anything.
Don't give up on me, Caroline. Not when I need your faith the most.
Alright, good to see some more story bits there. See some more actually right here, so I'll talk a little bit more about that once this finishes.
Putting some shape to your sentiments?
Just a short letter home. I reckon she's past caring anyway.
Oh, you're a hard heart that should be softer.
Or soft in parts that should be hard.
And how is it you're so keen for his hard parts, Mr. Rackham?
You'd like to know my secrets, would you?
Oh, aye. Give me a small hint, like. Or a large one if you're an upright gentleman.
Open your hand.
Who's shooting?
Might be them ships sliding into port.
Jesus.
Alright then. So I have a lot to discuss here. Let's talk about the story there while we're, right off of that. I'm glad to see some more story. I like trickling in, especially coming back here because, as I've commented many times before while I was playing the game, up to this point, I feel like the story has been kind of weak, surprisingly weak actually. Maybe weak is not the wrong word, but I think it's more intentionally loose enough to give you enough freedom to explore the world. And I think, for my taste, it's just a little too loose. It gives you a little bit too much. Not that it's giving you too much freedom, but it's not giving you enough direction for people who want direction, right? So for me, I want a little bit more direction from the game because I am just good enough already at deciding when I want to break away from the game, what the game wants me to go after, whatever goals, and then explore my own stuff. Like, I'm already good enough at deciding when I need to do that stuff. Next cutscene is right here. So I'm glad to see some more story beats. We see some backstory with Kenway's past here, his love, some of his moments that have been interspersed throughout the game and kind of providing a loose, or loose is probably not the right word, but it's providing occasional points where we're seeing an overarching sort of backstory happening that's connecting and forming overall narrative. As well as we're seeing more stuff happening here. Get in. So, I have more to discuss. I think just about me coming back after 2 weeks. You know, we'll talk about my vacation, but I don't want to just sit here on this rooftop all day. So I'm gonna let this cutscene play first. Start this mission. I don't think I have anything else to do in this area right now. Area is completely done. There aren't any nearby islands to complete. They're all gold. So yeah, I'll just get on to the Secret 7. A lot of I want to make sure I continue on to a good pace as far as the missions, because, you know, as I commented before, there's been overall connective tissue of the game as a narrative is fairly too scattered throughout the game, too far apart to the point where I feel like I don't have enough direction, enough strong motivation to play the game or go through it. So let's get into this mission, and I'll talk more about other stuff. Cutscene plays.
Well, I'll be hanged. King George has grown tired of our shenanigans. Who's the grim fella?
That's Captain Woods Rogers. Not a man I want seeing my face.
We desire a parley with the men who call themselves governors of this island. Charles Vane, Ben Hornigold, and Ed Thatch. Come forth, if you please.
Hear about the King's pardon, I reckon.
What the hell is Hornigold doing?
Lily-livered punk!
What are you men up to?
I am grateful for your geniality, Captain Hornigold.
Alright, so the plot is actually starting to thicken. Like, this is probably something that I would have liked to see a long time ago. Come on, can we move up? Gotta tail these guys out.
It's a fairer shake than I expected to see from any pirate. But I promise fair treatment to all who hear me out.
Only wait a while longer, Governor Rogers. These rascals will show their true colors in time.
Calm, Commodore Chamberlain. I have given Captain Hornigold my word that he will be equitable.
Won't do you a little good.
I'm gonna pause here just because, seeing once again that it's fairly difficult to actually, you know, pay attention to your surroundings and make sure you're taking out guards like I am, while also paying attention to the dialogue there. This is the problem that's been happening multiple times throughout this game. It's providing information that might be important a little too often in these sort of tailing mission. You're supposed to, you know, worry about the stealth while also trying to keep up with the conversation. Very difficult to do, I think. So I'm gonna give that a shot and try and pay attention as well.
Reputation and a
Have in
peculiar
mind.
cancer afflicting the new world. The king wants them eradicated, above all else.
Is this the town square? As close to one as you've ever had? Incredible. It's no cleaner than a dog's kennel. Captain Hornigold, please call your men.
Rackham, Vane, the governor's come calling. Bring Burgess and Cork for him as well.
From what I can tell, they're talking about the island here. Let's get this guy. Problem. And they're none too taken by this whole island of free men here without any sort of rule. want to
King has been particularly
sort of
ineffective in bringing about this change, hasn't he? Has failed all attempts until now.
Careful how you talk about his majesty, Governor. You'll hear it is
that was close. Alright, so unfortunately, I'm on a mission here, so I can't even talk about what the stuff I wanted to talk about. Just trying to focus. Right over there, hopefully I can swim. This.
Our only aim here is to treat with the masters of this community. All others are encouraged to go about their usual business.
Okay, so they're trying to find the masters of the community, but I'm not sure. Problem is, there are no masters of the community. It's a community of free men.
Are rounded up and brought to me this afternoon. We must see about repairing this fortress.
You should be confiscating weapons, Governor. Then these pirates are clear.
So I think these guys are going to be pretty hostile. Pirates' way of life.
I have no wish to stir up animosity here, Commodore. No well armed. We are outnumbered by a
Try and go
decent
this
margin.
way.
Slow persuasion is our best and most efficient weapon.
Squadron, Governor. Every goddamn ship not flying the King's colours. To do otherwise protects a certain weakness in our bearing.
I want to make sure this colony is.
I am the goddamn governor here, serving at the King's pleasure, and I will make the bloody decisions. Is that
They're going to
clear,
reclaim this
sir?
colony in, for Britain,
Your
I guess.
wishes are clear as crystal.
Alright, so once this mission is done and I have like a bit of time to discuss
These are the charts, Commodore. We're in position.
2-week vacation, I'll do that.
Governor Rogers believes he can make men. I do not. Return to your post and await my orders.
Alright, what now? Just hide from sight. I don't say that I need to tail these guys anymore. Or do I have to tail them? Just hide from sight. Okay, Governor Woods Rogers arrives in Nassau, offering the king's pardon to all pirates. Edward tails him to discover his ultimate plans. Made pretty clear he wants to reclaim this colony. Okay, now infiltrate the fort. Steel guards will hang from ledge. Alright, so I have a bit of time I can discuss. I came back from 2-week vacation, as I said in my last video. About 2.5 weeks by now, because days in between. So I went on a trip to Finland to see some family. That was good. Coming back, fresh mind. I should be able to discuss the game. I think I was talking about how my commentary was a bit stale. Getting a bit stale. In part because the game didn't have a lot to offer to comment on, or at least in my view. And what I really needed was a way to the game in a new light. So I didn't really think that there was nothing else to comment on in the game. I just got into a sort of rhythm with the game where I was only seeing it a certain way. Now that I'm of a fresh mind, I can probably find some new topics to talk about. Well, at least that's my hope. So, weeks away, while disrupting my overall progress of the game, and you know, causing me to be away from any potential viewers following the series. I think it'll ultimately be better for my commentary, long runs. But Another thing I want to talk about is that starting a bit late today because apparently they had some serious driver problems that I had to deal with. Here I'm starting about an hour behind because of that. So the latest 2 NVIDIA drivers are actually broke scaling altogether. Well, it like partially broke it, but you know, partially broken is basically the same as being broken. So ends up being that I had to figure that out and find a driver that's not broken as far as the scaling goes. I want regular. Yeah, we scale the game up to my monitor's resolution. So I'm running the game at 900, 1600 by 900. Yeah, it's not 1080p. My monitor is 1920 by 1200. For some reason, those latest drivers. This guy's talking. Oh, great. Now I have to try and pay attention to that. Saying surrender him. Okay. Bottom line, yeah, the scaling was broken on the latest 2 NVIDIA drivers, and I had to find the correct ones to allow me to scale the game properly again. Okay, I have one more guy. There we go. Let's pay attention to this guy before I talk to him. Okay, so they're reclaiming the colony and pardoning any pirate who will surrender, and you know, allow them control of the colony here. I believe that's going on here. So things I need to do is find a bell. Where is that? On the map here. So another thing I could talk about, or at least one thing I want to make sure I talk about, is any bells here. Is the notion of returning to a game after you have taken a break from it, essentially. Now, while 2 weeks is not that big of a break, I think it's significant enough to make a difference to cause a sort of hitch in my just normal rhythm of the game, and that's like, probably the biggest problem of not making sure to play the game all the way through at a regular pace, is that you lose that all-important rhythm playing the game. Of course, that involves you end up forgetting key details about just how to play that can cause problems when you return. But thankfully, for me, I don't think I'm going to have that much of a problem with Assassin's Creed 4 here, because I've played so many Assassin's Creed games, I generally like the gist of the pacing of the game and the general flow of the gameplay lends itself naturally to me. If this was a game I was playing for the first time, then I might have more trouble adjusting back to the game. The ins and outs of playing through missions like this. Might have trouble remembering some of the key key strategies from trying to, you know, do stealth, for instance, or, you know, making sure, remembering what weapons I have. Things like that. Finding no sleep darts from guards, causing trouble. No. Alright, so one of the things, as far as the rhythm of the game, I think very important. Trying to all the way that probably I could talk about. Perhaps I should mention some more obvious examples, more clear examples of what I'm talking about. I think Dark Souls, me at least, was being a really good example because I think I mentioned one time before in this playthrough that my first playthrough of Dark Souls, I ended up falling out of the game. I got caught up in something else, and I stopped playing for a few months. Now that's a significant amount of time to stop playing. Really significantly lose your rhythm and just general knowledge of the game.
I can get it from here! Here he is! Go!
There we go. A nice trick that I could have deployed before rat me out. For me, I don't think I've lost much of the rhythm. My gameplay, I can, as I said, I know Assassin's Creed generally well enough to where I can pick up any one in the series and generally keep up with what I need to do. Games. I mean, each one will have its own unique foibles and elements that I need to be aware of. But for the most part, I can adjust after taking a break or so. I actually wanted them to hang down a bit. Still looking for it. Sabotage the alarm bell. What the heck is the alarm bell? No alarm bells. Take down these guys though. So there's one thing I think that another important element of trying to come back to a game that you've taken a break from is that, well, that experience is not necessarily relegated to just games. Can apply to any media, really. If you're reading a book, for instance, and take a break, come back after several months, that can be, you know, a fairly difficult task to try and recover from, try and recover your experience. I think a book would, particularly long and or complex book, would be particularly difficult to return to after several months, trying to remember what was going on. I mean, book is the general flow and narrative of a book, a novel, be dependent on a lot of key details that you need to remember. Or at least have some knowledge of while you go about exploring that narrative. Now, an Assassin's Creed type of game, not going to be as complex as far as story. It's going to be easy to pick that stuff back up. The complexity in a game is not going to depend on important details in the narrative, but rather particular strategies when trying to deal with gameplay. Making sure you do not lose sight of things that you just need to do to keep up with game in that regard. So, the more complex the work, I think, the more that it demands from you, harder it is to try and return back to after taking a break. A lot of those complex elements are going to be difficult to try and pick back up. Whereas a game like Assassin's Creed, not that bad, especially if you played a lot of Assassin's Creed games and what they're all about. But with my example of Dark Souls, that one's a little bit more difficult to pick back up, because that game relies on you keeping apprised of a lot of different strategies that you need to be aware of, keep in mind at all times, because that is essentially the type of challenge that the game hits towards you at all times, or throughout the experience. Another thing about that is that a key element of Dark Souls is that much of the game is you figuring things out on your own after playing it for a while. So you're going to be doing that for much of the beginning of the game. If you take a break, then a lot of the lessons that you yourself learned, you're liable to forget those key lessons, and experience will be in trouble. Okay, I sabotaged the alarm bell. And that sort of thing might be a problem in several other games too, not just Dark Souls. Dark Souls is just a good example because of how it almost never tutorializes. But if you take a break in a game later on, especially after its main tutorial has happened, after you've passed through its main tutorial segment of the game, then it'll be difficult to get back in, because the game will not have those mechanisms to teach you that stuff anymore. It will assume that you already know that. And depending on the complexity of the game and what you're willing to do, you might even want to start the game over. The game is just super complex. Like, for instance, I would think the hardest games to try and return to would be something similar to Dark Souls, perhaps a more involved and story-heavy RPG type of game. Dark Souls is a type of RPG, but not that story-heavy. I want you to check on the stream to make sure we're still going. It is. That's good. But, like RPGs I'm talking about, a good example, for instance. Alright, I'm just gonna take this guy down because he's annoying me. I can't move. Another game that I am currently taking a break from, after a really long period of time actually. I stopped playing the game maybe over a year ago, is Kingdom of Amalur Reckoning. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, which is a really involved RPG that you are, for the most part, you're doing a lot of quests concurrently that are very tied to the story as well. Alright, I'll continue after this cutscene.
Accept the king's pardon as soon as your hearts allow. For until such time, all of you will be confined in Nassau. I am sorry for this, but in lieu of a public trial, this pardon is your best bet.
The governor puts it far too brightly, maggots. Take this message home. Accept the king's protection forthwith, or we will raise this town to its foundation and stretch your bloody necks.
Peace, Commodore Chamberlain. We are messengers, not executioners. Not yet.
Oh, thank you, sir. God save you.
Look on this as a stroke of fortune, lads. We should take the king's pardon and salvage what dignity we own.
Peace. I'll be hanged before I surrender to that Bobby.
Check your head, Vane. We had here a rare opportunity, a chance to take something base and shape it into a government made and maintained by men of vision. But in 2 years, we pissed it away. I won't make that mistake again.
It's truth he's telling, and you whelps can't handle it. Adieu, you forecastle-headed fuddlers. See you at the gallows.
You'll all be dead men! Bastards! I need a drink.
Alright, that should be 100%. Back of the optional objectives, unless it just threw one in there at the very end, as it has been known to do that at times. To my frustration. Anyway, that was a pretty good one, I think. I was busy talking, a lot of stuff to talk about while I'm coming back into streaming. So, wasn't totally into the mission, but I think that was a fairly good one. To say, we had a lot of, well, but besides the tailing mission in the beginning, the whole navigating this fortress, pretty good. Do I wanted to give it knock off a star because it did that tailing mission? Maybe. I think I'm going to. But in general, I was able to keep up with what the game was trying to say. Fortunately, it did solve the problem with, trying to pay attention to the details when you're doing the tailing mission by adding some redundant information, which I think is at times redundancy of key details is important as far as a storytelling technique. Because it's because of how difficult it is to sometimes pay attention to ongoing dialogue while you're trying to do gameplay. Like, it's even more important in a video game where you're constantly interacting with the game while also trying to digest, take in story details that is throwing at you at the same time concurrently. It is also important in other media like film, for instance, to throw key information at the audience multiple times in different ways, just so that make sure that it sets in. That is like a storytelling technique that often is employed by other media, but I think it's particularly important in games. So it's alleviated here. I got the gist of it. The governor wants to take control of Nassau here, away from the pirates. These free men to reclaim it in the name of, I'm assuming, Britain, because that the king's country or whatever. And they can't take the freedom of these guys. They want to in control. They want to make sure they have the control and have the submission of the people here. So did like the stealth portion. I'm gonna say like. I think it's just fine. I think it's accurate enough. Okay, there's a lot to discuss here. Did I just leave, right? Go back to the tavern. Alright. Do I have an exit way? Probably this way. So, to finish up my discussion of what happens when you take a break from a game, try to come back. It is, in general, difficult. Depends on the game, the type of game. I was talking about, RPGs being particularly difficult because you have to get back in the rhythm of both the story, can be, really long and ongoing, really involved process, involving several types of missions as well as several characters that you need to keep track of. An RPG is like a really long novel that is can be difficult to not only get back into the story, but also remember all the gameplay details pertinent to ensure that you're maximizing. You need to maximizing what you need to do to play it properly, to play your skills and strategy that the game has taught you. Get down here quickly. For any attacks or anything like that. Could be one there, I think. This contraption. No. Back down. Be able to like knock this guy out. Not like that. Sleep darts. I want to loot this guy. So, a game like Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning for me will be fairly difficult to return to. That is one case where I think I might have to just call it quits on that campaign and play it over again. Because I'm not going to remember all the key details of the story and decisions I've made, quests that I'm currently ongoing. It's going to be very difficult for me to return back into the rhythm of the game, make sure I am playing it properly, all that jazz. While a game like Assassin's Creed 4 here is not quite as difficult to return to. I think I'm already fairly in pace what I need to do, and plus 2 weeks, in this case 2 weeks is not that long to forget the story details. And also in the case of this game, the story wasn't that strong enough to begin with. I didn't need to really remember all that much. Only just now, I could probably mention, since it is throwing that story at me, only just now with this very mission am I actually seeing some more heavy plot being thrown in. Fairly late in the game, to be honest, like, to see some narrative of this weight thrown. So now we're actually seeing a little bit more of an antagonistic force than we have before, where it's more of a free-flowing, general narrative of trying to find this observatory, while Henry here is just making his life as a pirate, not really having much of a direction. He doesn't even know where the observatory is, no leads at all. And besides that, there was no other sort of conflict in the game. At the heart of its lack of direction of what we're trying to do. The only direction was that observatory. However, we have no leads, they said, as to where it is. So now we're actually seeing an antagonistic force being introduced that is threatening the very livelihood of Kenway here and his fellow pirates. So now we're seeing something for our protagonists to try and counter against. As I said, the plot thickens. It's about time too. So we're in sequence 7, and I'm like probably 50 hours into the game. All told, I don't know how, maybe a little bit less than that. That's a long time for the game to bring out some more narrative twists. Really strange to see that, but there's something to be said about the game letting you have that freedom, and initially or ties you down with more narrative. But as I said, I personally would have preferred maybe this type of narrative stuff that we're seeing here right now, maybe in sequence 4, like many sequences before this. And we can establish that as an ongoing sort of a plot thread that we're chasing, rather than just rather than finding motivation to explore the world from within, think a little bit more motivation from the game to explore the world with missions and or side missions, story stuff would have been appreciated. And I can talk about that more as we get more story here, assuming that the story is picking up, which, as for my reading, I think the story will be picking up a little bit more, getting more involved from this point on. At least that's what I'm hoping. Let's not stand around here anymore. Let me just get right into that mission while I'm here. Well, there's side missions to do anyway, so. That. Think the game may have crashed on me. Not sure what's going on here. Like the stream is still going up. Strange to see a crash like that. Hopefully I can fix that. Out of here. Yep, it did in fact crash. I think I'm still streaming. It should only be a black screen while the camera's still going up, but yeah, hopefully I can get the game back online as far as the stream. And will it show up? Hoping. So interesting enough, that is the first like hard crash that I saw while playing the game on stream. Saw some other glitches, but never a hard crash. Strange. Alright, yeah, the game is coming back up, that's good. I don't have to start this, or I don't have to stop the stream and start it up again, just keep on going here. So, because I started late, I want to get going with the mission itself, because I'll probably have to end really soon, so let's start that mission. Get in the game. I'm trying to think about if there's anything I missed discussing regarding. Oh, here we go.
Turncoat.
I'll keep talking after this.
Bloody ill to think on how many times I've put up with Hornigold and his self-righteous shite.
Verily, you are a man of principle, Captain Hornigold. A man I believe I can trust with my best ideas.
Faith, and we'll survive this, Charles, with our pride intact.
That's confidence. You brewed a plan I might get a taste of?
Nassau is over, that's plain to see. I say we skip out tonight and regroup at my compound.
Fair enough. What's your angle?
The Brits have brought their supplies ashore, see? If we nick some gunpowder and pine pitch, we can build a fire ship and send it straight at the blockade, blasting it to smithereens.
Aye. We'll use Raccoon's ship. You're a capable captain.
My conscience is clear.
Right. Well, you got the gunpowder. I'll secure the pine pitch.
Alright then. Kill 4 guards and 1 kill streak. Use blowpipe darts on guards. And I need to do 10 of them. Okay. Thankfully, I can craft some stuff. Probably also buy them in the shops. But why buy them when I can probably craft them really easily? I have none, right? I have 5 of these. Okay, so I'll try and craft. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I want to discuss about, you know, taking a break from a game or any sort of story-based, any sort of narrative experience, and trying to return back into it, into the flow, and trying to turn back into it, whether it's possible or not. I think with games, it all depends on how complex the story is as far as the gameplay, and whether it's easy to pick up just right away, or whether you really have to learn its systems. You have to learn what you have to do. I think Assassin's Creed might be difficult from a first-time player who's never played an Assassin's Creed game. There are a lot of systems to keep in mind, a lot of various facets to the game. Saw many different types of gameplay experiences in here, like, well, just the exploration of the world, using your ship, combat in the, as far as the ship, as well and on land. There's just so many facets. There are, shops to visit. There are islands to explore, completion, a lot of minigame facets to the experience as well. So I only can keep up with that stuff and quickly delve back into it just because I've played so many Assassin's Creed games. I can familiarize with myself with that stuff fairly quickly, especially after just 2 weeks. I just want to craft some sleep darts here. Sleep dart ammo, not actual. So I just need bones for that, and I have plenty. So I'll craft 5. If I think of anything else as far as that topic, I'll circle back to it. I think that's generally what I want to mention. That depends on the game, it depends on the experience, and it is not exclusively a video game sort of. It's not a video game problem. It is a problem that can happen with any sort of narrative experience. Trying to come back into after a break. As far as media that might lend itself a little bit better, or be more resistant to a break, is, I would think, television TV series might be best in that regard. And some shows better than others, like depending on how serialized it is versus a series. Series are like ongoing story arcs, while serials are like each individual episode is its own self-contained thing. So a serial type of TV show, or it doesn't have to be TV, it can be any sort of episodic story. There are some serials in novels and other media. But I think a TV lends itself fairly well because often we are given recaps of story, like previously on Lost. Whereas a sort of a game or novel, when you're experiencing the experience in general of a game or novel is fairly long, so they can't really just give you that for every single mission, for example. The game has to assume that you're still playing are able to keep in mind, keep track of all of its various systems as well as its story details. So I think best to do here is blow dart this guy. I need to do 10 of them. What else do I have to do here? Kill 4 guards in 1 kill streak. Okay. That might be doable. So I need to blow dart several guys. Once these guys are done, after one has been. Okay. I'll use that one on this guy. And the final guy, I'll just start. Yeah, this guy won't last. A lot of just waiting for the AI to each other up here.
a good line on him.
Oh, okay.
Keep the slippery bastard in sight, boys. You come back here, you mad maggot!
Okay. How many is that now? That is 4. There we go. I'm not gonna get a kill streak on that. Wait, so yeah, these optional objectives are gonna be fairly difficult. Make sure I do, but there are a lot of guards to work on here. Please give me more darts. That is why I'm one guard. Sounds like a job for a sleep dart. Alright, I got some sleep darts out of that. That's pretty good. Okay, so steel for gunpowder kegs. Oh, that's it. And it's considered stolen. Okay, I'm starting. I'm getting it. All right, here I should be able to do the whole kill streak thing. Yeah, there are plenty of guards here. Get several guards in. Yeah, I should be able to get a kill streak here. All right, that's the kill streak mission. Optional objective, so that's taken care of. Now I just need to work on the darts. Optional objective.
He's getting away! Oh, don't lose him now!
Let me just run. Okay, so there are work on this barrel here. Still need to find a good berserk dart target.
That village about 5 or 6 years ago, as I recall, personally. That was another garrick well underway. The medley of the lovers. So soon as the strike's done, we'll be rushing to get it up for Tuesday.
You guys are talking. Not a good idea to.
He told me he moved to sell. I wonder what it was that changed his mind. Perhaps I'll go and speak to him again then.
Okay, so only 3 more. They just go right back to their conversation. That's pretty funny.
Finally, they had it up before Her Majesty. Now it's all sorted and behind us. Now, he won't come. His wife's gone into labour. Last I saw him, he was running in circles, full tilt, with staring eyes and an idiot grin across his face. Really? He told me you were himself. Wonder what it was that changed him. Perhaps we're going to see.
Knock both these guys out. Just one more blowpipe dart, and that optional objective will be done. Okay, there's one over there. So the only thing about this is that you need to be able to hold it down so that you can steal it properly. And that's the optional objective done. While they're distracted, maybe I can do this. No. Making pretty good use of those smoke bombs. Making sure I don't think I've used them all that much in this game, but just reminded that fairly good strategy in dealing with a large crowd. Okay, so where? Here. Yeah, you just need to be able to have no guards around because it takes a while to actually steal the bomb. If you're in the middle of combat, then you can't complete that field. So, and one thing I remembered that I should probably discuss is the actual details of the narrative that the game is introducing right now. Quickly comment on that, because it seems to be like we're finally seeing more of a concrete Alright, so okay. Go up here. That guy first. Oh man. Alright, I have to get one of these.
You.
Alright, so we're getting more details about the narrative in general. Agnes, guard, game. For governor, people are trying to come in and establish a colony, take power. And it seems to be flowing directly into the general Assassins versus Templar overarching plot of the Assassin's Creed games here. Because, well, as long as if you've played Assassin's Creed games before, you know very well that the Assassins are more about the freedom of the people, the preservation of free will. Very important aspect of the Assassins, whereas the Templars believe in control. That is the best way to keep the world at peace is they believe people need control. That left to their own devices, people will devolve into chaos. And, you know, they'll cause their own reckoning essentially. Get away from here. I'm thin ice here.
Come back here and face us like
There we go. That's okay. Approach this. So what we're seeing here is that the pirates seem to be more aligned with the assassins' way of thinking, in that they believe in freedom, people, no sort of overarching government necessary in their lifestyle, and that is essentially at odds with the Templar way of living, of their belief system.
Hold you!
Want to sabotage this bell. Not letting me do that. Aw, man, come on. Always somebody. So I'm thinking, as far as the story details we're seeing right now, thinking that the people coming in are probably Templars, or they're aligned with the Templars. Important to try and suss that out. That guy have the key? Probably not. Gonna say key needed, right? Yeah, I haven't found the key holder. He's somewhere in here, yeah. I'm not gonna be concerned with the warehouse then. Let's just finish the mission at hand. Whoops. Try and drop on the guy here. Fine. Okay, so served here. Oh, there's just one more. Over here. So I think it as far as discuss about the narrative, that I wanted to make sure I hammered in that detail about assassins and Templars, and that although this may seem like a tangential pirate experience game, I think now it's trying to loop back into the overarching assassins versus Templar conflict that has been happening over the course of the series. And it's starting to make a little bit more sense because of how, because of the pirate belief system. Oh, I see. These guys are like practicing This guy here, try and go up on that tree. It's strange that I haven't noticed that a little bit before. Well, I noticed it, yeah, I noticed it a little bit when we were in the island of the assassins, but I didn't realize that it could play very well into the overall conflict. And kind of neat it right into.
Steady me sights. I got a shot.
Okay, I'm gonna have to combat this guy. Ooh. There we go. That's a quick way to take him down. Dang it. Oh, more combat? Okay. Get the skill comms out, there we go. This last one definitely not as clean as the other bombs here, but that's fine, I guess. Provided myself a variety of experience here, a variety of ways to approach killing bit. Some successful stealth approaches while also successful combat approaches. So in the end, it turns out that the whole pirate experience lends itself to Assassins versus Templars storyline, as I was saying. Just to recap that once again, or reiterate that. And I was kind of surprised that I didn't notice that before. That, hey, Kenway's way of thinking, Kenway's way of life aligns, or can align with the Assassins' way of life. And it can be also at odds with the Templars. They would be free of government control, free of any sort of control of men. But the Templars insist on control as a means of maintaining status quo and peace and preventing conflict. So, there's fairly there are flaws with both sides, but I think in general the series is painting the Templars as big hypocrites in that regard. So I'm gonna say, okay, this one I'm going to say just like, because the optional objective kind of bogged it down a bit, just having to do 10 a bit much, I think. So not 5 stars, but for one thing, the Templars abuse their philosophy so that they can preserve control for themselves. Maybe their philosophy would be a little bit better if control wouldn't always mean that it would preserve control for themselves. Control of the people by way of someone who is best suited to govern the people. Like, for instance, via democracy. If the Templars are a less abusive sect of Templars might actually embrace democracy as a way of preserving a system of control over the people by the people. I don't know, maybe there's an argument to be made on that, but the Templars featured in many of these Assassin's Creed games take their philosophy of control a little bit too far and abuse it to the point where they're preserving control for themselves for completely selfish reasons and not necessarily to preserve any sort of social order. Oh, why is he going so fast? How can he run so fast? Interesting to see one detail about this, that this island of Nassau has changed a bit since that story point. Being more of, we're seeing actual enemies on the screen. Seeing the British soldiers here, British guards. They're trying to take control of the island. Sense that they would be on here now. Oh, well, we did see some, like, in the plantation area. I guess they were relegated to a much smaller portion of the map. So I think I'm going to actually stop it here. This, for a shorter stream, I actually discussed quite a bit. I had a lot to talk about, and I'm not even sure if I discussed everything that I wanted to discuss in that. Just because I have to, well, you know, one thing about this whole experience is the addition of the streaming portion of the streaming layer broadcasting, while also providing commentary. I have to get used to that again, so I'm not as efficient or at, you know, maintaining those details, maintaining a discussion, and making sure I talk about all my thoughts properly on stream. I have a feeling that I forgot some key details that I wanted to discuss. So I won't start this now. I think I will do this first thing on the next stream. It's good to have a nice series of missions all in one general area, because it is, we're seeing a pickup of the story, a pickup of the pace of the story. But I think I'll discuss that perhaps later on in the next part. I want to wind down this part. So it's great being back. Hope you guys enjoyed me coming back. I'm going to be streaming from now on. Probably with a reduced schedule, because, you know, summer is ending and I was able to have a much better schedule over the summer than I can have now. Probably down to 3 days a week rather than 5 days a week. So trying to maintain that, keep up with this, you know, falling in, or fall right back into the rhythm of streaming as well as the game, and hopefully head on to completing the game. I have a feeling that we're in the latter portion of the game, so finishing this up fairly soon. Within the next couple weeks, I would think. I don't know. There'll probably be several parts left, I'm sure. I'm not going to be finished right now, so look forward to that in the next part. We can get on to this Commodore 86th mission in the next part. We'll say now, thank you very much for watching. If you would like to watch all the archives of my stream up until this point, you can go over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/YamsterSam. If you want to watch me live again, perhaps you're watching this on YouTube now and you want to watch me live, you can go to twitch.tv/YamsterSam, and also make sure to follow, because if you follow, you'll be informed of when I stream, so you can head right into the chat. And I would actually like to see people watch live, because then I will be able to interact with you guys, rather than have you guys watch an archive and I'm not able to interact with you. So we can discuss more in depth about the game, you know, in person, live. I would like to do that more often from here on out. Include that in my overall discussion of the game. So with that, oh, also Twitter, YamsterSam as well. Same username across everything, really, across those three social things. So you can follow me on Twitter. Twitter is also a good way to know when I go live on Twitch. So I will see you next time. Straight into another mission. The story seems to be picking up. It's all exciting. So see you then.